chapter 2. Chapter 2 was I wanted to call the book, the title of chapter 2, which is Sell More Shit. The publisher, with all their wisdom, decided that may not be a good idea. So instead of calling the book that, we went into title chapter 2. And the point of this chapter is that what we have to do when we're in a startup, and frankly, I think in business in general, is we have to continuously get better and better and better at selling our product and moving more product. And that is counterintuitive to many that go into business. They think if they keep making the product better, the market will then therefore buy more product. But what we need to do as entrepreneurs is we need to make sure our product is fitting into the marketplace in the way the consumer wants to buy it. And that's a shift in mentality. And so you have to approach the market from the perspective of, why are they buying it? And how can I compel that? And then how can I make my product fit that need, fill that value better? And so the mentality is get better and better and better at selling your core product. The one thing that also occurs in the world is when you have a business and maybe it's not performing the way you want it to, you look to other ways, more bolting other things on, adding more complexity to your business, when really at the end of the day, what you need to do is, again, just focus on the core product and selling it. I had a friend of mine that had opened a pizza shop and put a whole bunch of, it was more of a pizza restaurant, right? Full bar, the whole thing. And it wasn't doing that well. And he called and said, hey, listen, my building's a little bit too big. What if I peeled off 1,500 square feet and put a Big-B in there, and then we'll just have the manager that owns or is running the pizza shop manage the Big-B too? And he thought I would think that was a great idea because we get to build another store and so on and so forth. Well, I asked him, I said, wait a minute. You hired somebody and you partnered with somebody that's been in the pizza business for 25 years to run your pizza restaurant. And this guy can't figure out how to sell pizzas? And you think the answer is have him sell coffee too? Like that's insanity, right? Like focus on, if you can't sell enough pizzas, then, sorry, fold it up and move on, right? You're not going to sell more pizzas by adding complexity to the business. In a startup, revenue is the area people underestimate. It's the hardest challenge. Getting the consumer to identify with you and decide to purchase your product, to me, is the biggest challenge of a startup. And frankly, in many ways, one of the bigger challenges in all of business, right? And so how we place the product in the marketplace, and then how aggressively we learn how to sell it is critical. I state in the book that there hasn't been $1 that this company has generated that came easy. And here we are 30 years later, doing a fair amount of revenue and so on. And yeah, it sort of looks like maybe that was a kind of a linear path and it worked. But I believe in my heart that at least the first 5 to 10 years, and we were fighting for every single dollar of incremental revenue. And I look back on the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of no's we got for every single yes, in terms of selling franchises, in terms of securing leases, in terms of everything we needed to do to generate those dollars. Another key element to this first section of chapter 2 is planning is overrated. And a lot of people go into business and what they want to do is they want to plan their way to success. They want to get all the details figured out before they launch, before they get the product into the marketplace. And to me, there's a venture capitalist here in Ann Arbor that I've gotten to know. And what he asks in an initial meeting is, give me a 1-page document that tells me how you're going to get people to buy the product. And don't do any other planning. I don't want you worrying about this detail and that detail and reviewing legal and on and on and on. I want you to tell me how you're going to sell product. And then finally, the last piece of this first section is that once you've opened your business, you have to be prepared for the fact that you're going to be losing money. And that you will be losing money for a period of time and sometimes an extended period of time. And you know what? If that doesn't happen to you, cool, right? I mean, all the power to you. Go get them, right? But that's fantastic. But what we want to do is we need to make sure that once we're open, that the only way, I shouldn't say the only way, but the most reasonable way, the not the easiest way. I'm sorry, I'm not articulating this well, but like once you're open and bleeding and maybe not succeeding, capital gets really, really, really scarce. Right? You might be able to convince a friend to give you a little bit of dough based on charity, right? Or, maybe you go to a rich uncle, but nobody wants to do that because then you got to deal with the rich uncle at Thanksgiving when he's drunk, worried about his money, that kind of thing. But once you're open, there's really one way to get capital. And that's through gross margin. And the way you get increased gross margin is through selling more shit. That is the answer to your struggle in the beginning when you're bleeding and the business might be underperforming. So that's the first section of chapter 2, sell more shit. I look forward to my next opportunity to speak to y'all.